Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication. We're live. Hello and welcome to Mercy TV. Greetings, I'm Perry. This is PK, and over there is Sunny. We'll be hosting this segment of Mercy TV. Whether you're watching us on channel 23 or off our Mercy Center YouTube channel, greetings, welcome, and we hope that you'll spread the word and let other people know about our show. We hope we get valuable information from it. Contact us via our website, mercycenters.org, to let us know. Now, PK?
Hey, people in the hospital, please talk to your doctors. You can enjoy cannabis without smoking it. You can make tinctures or get a hold of a tincture. I have a healing oil that takes 28 days to fully cure, but you just have to add more olive oil to when it gets lower. And keeping the mash and stirring it and keeping it out of a dark spot. But you don't have to smoke the cannabis to get the benefits from the plant. And that's from the root to the leaf and the flower.
Well, and you know, when everybody's following the guidelines and being safe, and you know, the cannabis is such good medicine, and it's good for when they have the different conditions that helps them, you know, and that's what's good, and they feel so good.
Well, again, for folks watching us on channel 23, stay tuned, or go back over our YouTube channel and look for PK's My Garden episodes, where you can see how to make his oil, along with other gardening tips, tools, and tricks, and find out how this oil is a modality, way of taking, consuming cannabis. You can either, as PK was saying, since you're using olive oil in this particular instance, you can use it for cooking. You can take it internally, and you can also apply it topically, rubbing it on over the areas that are bothering you, be it your arthritis, your skin conditions,
Carpal tunnel.
Yeah, carpal tunnel. I believe even spasticity, your neurological
and bug
nerves.
bites as well.
Right, any kind of skin condition, abrasions, cuts, psoriasis even.
Well, because all the different things that the people, because different things that the people have, the conditions. You know, I have psoriasis, and the different things that each person's, because different people have different, their bodies, each person's.
Yeah. And so, some folks it doesn't do as well, and some folks it's miraculously cures it. It's important to point out that in no instance does it hurt you, does it cause harm. Is there negative effects, particularly from applying it topically, rubbing it on?
Well, you always want to remember, because your body is gonna always, the way it breaks it down, it's gonna break it down differently than the way your body will break it down, and the way your body will break it down. But it'll do good, and when it gets done, it'll be great, and your body will be great, and you'll have energy.
So before 1937, when the Prohibition started on cannabis, and it started before that, but the federal government put the ban on the cannabis and the implant. And before then, at the local drugstore, you would find products that had cannabis in it. And now, because of the laws, it ain't there. Beforehand, our forefathers were using cannabis in different things that they would get from their pharmacy. And I definitely know there wasn't any warning labels on the cannabis product, unless it was mixed with something weird.
And even then,
Well, because they were doing things with hemp, and they had cannabis, and they had people smoking pot, and well, they had all these things that were all one plant, with hemp and cannabis and pot, and it was all one plant. And see, they were trying to confuse people, and we had one plant, and it was all good for us. And it was different strains, because one plant, different strains, and it was medical, it was industrial, and you know, that's what we have to remember, that because one strain, one plant is different strains, we have to remember to educate everybody, because it's good, it does good things for the ground. You know, I was talking to a patient the other day, he was talking about the fracking that was going on in the Midwest.
right?
He was saying, did you know about the Midwest back in Ohio, what they were doing, and all the oils that they were taking out, and all the earthquakes that were going on? And I thought, well, me and Perry were talking some of that stuff we know about back in Voter Power, when, you know, some of the education, you know, that's just stuff that, you know, we got, you know, that's stuff back in the day, you know. Well, but not too many people know about that stuff. Because those are stuff that, unless you got educated, because people don't know about these things unless you get educated, because things on these plants and these are, this is what we're doing. We're a medical show, but we're trying to teach people about this plant, you know. And oh yeah, you know what our legislators and our senators are doing? Well, we want to vote. We want to make sure that people are voting.
Here, here.
You know, are you voting, and are you teaching your children? And, you know, and telling them. And because we want to make sure that they're getting the education and making sure you're voting. And there's so much in all of this is wrapped up. And what was we talking earlier about the water and how they were going in, and all of these things were going along, you know, and they were changing the votes and trying to change the votes in what state.
How did we vote?
And
You in Arizona?
was it Arizona?
Where they're doing the fraudit there. What just brings up how important it is to, you know, when we were talking before about not just registering and voting, but protecting your registration, protecting the registration of your family and friends, your co-workers, your fellow commuters. I mean, if you take you carpool with someone, and you know, all your relationships, use that opportunity to, you know, talk about the important issues, to talk about medical cannabis, find out their experience, and or if they have sources and resources for more information. Talk to your doctor. We talked earlier about for those folks in the hospital and hospice care, talking to your nurses, talking to all your professionals about the cannabis issue.
And thanking them, because they have had to put up so much and go through so much and make sure they know that we understand.
In the same manner, you want to also talk about voting and all the things around it. Like I said, registering, make sure you stay registered, because there's going to be a big effort to clear the polls depending on who's in charge. They're going to try and get rid of people that they perceive as being from the other party, if you will. There are also going to be a lot of efforts to restrict access to the polls, shut down polls, gather up ballot boxes to limit them, again, in certain areas where the ruling party doesn't think they're going to do as well, and so forth. So people need to plan ahead. In some states, they're making sure that you've got to request a ballot, also that you have several forms of ID, and so you want to, know what the laws are in your area, know them well, and get ahead of them. Every way that they could try to cheat you of your being able to vote, you want to, counter that. Like I said, check the registration, make sure they don't kick you off. Help your friends and family do the same. And all that stuff to get out that vote.
Very important.
So,
very important.
people that are on the medical cannabis program here in Oregon, please, when it's time to renew your license, renew it. I know it's a hassle, it's inconvenient, but we need to keep the program growing because the patients need a little extra medicine to survive their traumas and their ways to make up a healing.
Well, and it's so important because Perry and I had to go and gather people's signatures. Thank you, Perry.
Yeah, man.
That's how we had to do it. And what we're trying to explain here is so that we don't lose it. That's what we're doing
Yeah,
today.
a lot of people worked hard. Some of the folks that fought for the law aren't around today to enjoy it. And while we're at it, talk about people are in prison today for cannabis as medicine, and yet we have CBD products on the open market, medical cannabis-based medicines on the open market, sold not behind the counter, not just to adults, but just for everybody to use, and that's a wonderful thing to see, but it's happening without acknowledging that cannabis is medicine. And all those people who said it was and are in jail now for saying it and acting upon it should be out, let go of jail. And we should, change the laws and recognize this instead of having this two-handed approach here. And along those lines, the medical cannabis program should never, ever be under the control of the OLCC, the Oregon Liquor Commission, because those folks have been anti-cannabis from day one, and it's like having a fox running the hen house to have the OLCC in charge of cannabis here in Oregon.
That's the importance. So right now, to make sure these votes and that the senators and legislators are still supporting the cannabis and medical, and that everybody knows that it works and that it's good for the patients, and like we're always talking about renewing and how important it is, because that's where it started, and that's, if we don't keep it up, we'll lose it, and that's where we got to keep it going. We got to have it going and keep it going, and that's the importance.
There's an active effort by prohibitionists, by people who hate cannabis, to get rid of the medical marijuana program here in Oregon. And so it's legislators, it's people who are in charge of various groups that get money to lie about cannabis, part of the drug war. And those folks want the war to keep going and keep that money flowing into their coffers so they can keep lying and doing not much else. And you should end that. You don't want your tax dollars going to that kind of a waste. And as well as you want the benefit of medical cannabis for yourself or your loved one when the time comes, believe me. So, all the conditions that cannabis helps with.
Well, the seizures and the arthritises and the topicals, all
the skin conditions, the nausea, the cachexia, loss of appetite, the spasticities,
Psoriasis and
the tremors, the shiver, the uncontrolled spasms.
all of it will help. And if there's some things that you know about that we haven't mentioned here, please, send Perry and.
I mean, pain. That's probably the number one thing that cannabis is used for.
Oh yeah.
And it's so effective
Carpal tunnel.
that the competition notices this, and it's got a bunch of laws set up so that you can't use cannabis, especially instead of your opioids. And that's how we got the opioid crisis, because they lied at both ends. They lied about their shit, and then they lied about cannabis, keeping the alternative to their shit. And that's a horrible crime, and I hope they pay for it. But more importantly, I hope we get changes in the law so that this doesn't happen again. The opioid crisis doesn't happen again.
Well, we need to be educated on how to use the different drugs that were offered. I mean,
Well, cannabis
the
is medicine.
side effects.
That it's safe, effective medicine, and how best to utilize it. That would be an education.
Well, that it's healthy for you, and that it's healthy for your organs, and that your blood, and that your other organs are good, and how it does neurologically for you, and that it works good with all the medicines your doctor gives you, and that it all works together, and that, when you see how good it gives you good energy, and that, when you see all of that, and that pretty soon, wow, how good you're working, and how good you're sleeping, and the energy, and pretty soon you're just, man, I feel so good, and, my energy, and everything's so good. Wow, these things
Life
are
is
where...
hunky-dory.
Well, the quality of life, and we talked before about how your cycle, you can't eat, you can't sleep, and so the cannabis, allows you to get the good sleep, allows you to keep down a meal, and your vitamins and your nutrients and all that stuff, and allows you to break that cycle. Plus, a number of people that we've had experience with have had a number of medications. One medication causing symptoms, or taking the medicine for that, more symptoms, and cannabis breaks that cycle, another vicious cycle, and reduces the people that were on 10 different medications now to 3. People that were taking them 2 handfuls a day are now down to 1 dose a day, and there's financial bearing here too, because they were going from $1,000 worth of pills a day to 100, and man, it's just a matter of time till the people who were paying that money see that and say, hey, we got to make cannabis legal part of the therapy here. It's safe medicine. It's safe, effective medicine.
Because we got to vote
cheaper than these,
Right.
on the issue, and we made cannabis legal.
So right here in Oregon, we was through a people's initiative that got the cannabis law through and passed. Unfortunately, legislators hacked at it, and they couldn't defeat it at the polls, so they stripped it over the years, piece by piece, until it's the gutless blunder that it is today.
Patients are hurt.
Well, the patients are the ones that are
hurting
healthy.
and paying the price for it, really,
because
literally.
they're hurting the conditions, and then the cannabis will overdo and pretty soon they see, wow, I feel so good, and the cannabis is helping me so much.
Well, and that's how we had cannabis here in Oregon. I mean, it was a grassroots effort. It was people using cannabis in the underground, and back in the day, there were people that were growing cannabis, getting it to people, and it was all, you know, underground. You know, it was like the Underground Railroad of the days when they were sneaking slaves out of, you know, the South, where we're sneaking medicine into people's homes, as it were, and people who had been busted, and now they had to go to court, and we were helping them with their court cases. And when the law got passed, you know, getting educating people, because you know, it was funny because all the things that professional cannabis growers would do to increase the potency, we would do the reverse, because all the people that came to us didn't want really potent pot. They just wanted all the good things that made them feel better, you know. And that's your typical medical cannabis patient. Older, retired, most likely, a lot of cases government workers, you know. We had fire chiefs and police chiefs, police officers, government officials, bureau chiefs,
And they're
ministers,
successful. And they're
deacons,
successful.
elders in their churches, you know, and yeah, they were very successful and
And that's the thing, because
productive,
they're
non-criminal,
people.
not crazy, not eating children.
They're people that need to help others, that are trying to be good with the, you know, and what people don't realize is the organs that they're having problems with, that their conditions that they're having problems with, that the cannabis is helping those problem conditions that they're having. And once they realize that their cannabis is helping those, and then pretty soon, bam, wow, now I'm good. And once they realize I'm good, well now, you know, the bloodstream has overtaken. And
Well, they're getting up, they're getting out, they're having lives, they're going back to work when they can, in the age of COVID here, and generally having an improvement of life. Some cases,
Quality.
not so. Some cases, it's not as effective, but in no case is anybody dying. It's not killing them, it's not causing cancer, so it's safe.
Curing.
And we should end the war, because that's what the war is based on. And we got a few minutes left here, so
well, and we'd like to thank CCTV
Right.
because, you know, they have been such a big part, and all of the people that work there, and you know, that is how we have done it, and that is what makes it all happen. You know, that is so, we are so thankful for all of them, and all the people that have been, you know, we have lost a lot of people. I was thinking about it the other day. We have lost so many people over the years, Perry.
yeah.
So many people over the years that since we started, and
Right.
not that have just left,
Their
but
quality of life was improved because they were using cannabis.
they've used cannabis, but they've passed on. You know, they've passed on to another
Yep.
life. You know,
And we thank folks for their help there, especially CCTV. And you can find out more about them at cctvsalem.org. This link and more is off our website, mercycenters.org. There you can find out more about our organization, Mercy, the Medical Cannabis Resource Center, and our other action items, like Mercy TV. Where our Mercy TV link, by the way, has pointers to all our past episodes as we stash them on our YouTube channel. Visit it and spread the word, please.
but we
Hi.
have so many blessings. You know, and if you have any conditions that the cannabis is helping us with, please give Perry let him know that, you know, this is how it's working for me, and let him know, because that's what we're trying
Well,
to
or
do here.
post your information. We've got web pages set up on each condition as we get the information on it, and there's a bulletin board at the bottom, so folks can leave their notes. You know, how does cannabis help you? Particular what modality, what strains work best for you? I mean, is yours best taken internally? Is it best rubbed on? So forth. And then in other information, grow tips and tricks. Are you indoor, are you outdoor? Are you using soil or some kind of soil mix? And
Coconut fiber.
you know, any other items there. There's a great community out there, and unfortunately a lot of it communicating still somewhat incognito or through the internet there.
But fortunately, CCTV lets me let me show you how to grow a medical cannabis card
Right.
as best as you can and organically. So thank you for Mike and Shauna, Dr. Lebec, and the other members of the Mercy Center and for their help. Please register and vote. Renew your medical cannabis license when it's due. And have a good life and enjoy the fun times in flying a kite. Bye bye, my friends.
Thanks. We'll see you next time on
Thanks.
Mercy TV.
Thank you to Sam and Henry and everybody at CCTV and all the people that have passed. And you know, we have so many blessings, and thank you to you guys. And you know, I'm so thankful to all of our families. You know, we got so many families that have helped to all of us, you know. And we're just so thankful to our many blessings. And remember, cannabis is a good medicine. And you know, just remember to vote and
Use common sense. When
Yes.
wear a mask when you think you're near people.
yes. And you know, these are things we've always done before the pandemic. And you know, thank you to everybody to keep all you safe, and just remember, thank you.
See you.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.